the father of Mooers Central. He is the father of Mooers Central School. I don't know, whenever you think about Mooers Central School, you think about Mr. Vogan. He was here as principal from, 1944 to 1970, a total of 26 years. He led many of us on, through the office door into his inner sanctum and gave us his words of wisdom. And those truly were words of wisdom. They were not yelling words, they were not scolding words, they were truly words of wisdom. And I think he made all the people that went through Mooers Central School just that much better. Mr. Vogan retired from the district in 1970 after its merger, and later became the president of the New York State Retired Teachers Association. He's just recently received from New York State Retired Teachers Association their highest honor, the Certificate of Recognition. So he didn't quit in education once he retired, but just went on to maybe bigger and better things. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome and present to you Mr. Paul Vogan.
More convinced that old principals never die, they just lose their titles. I am not going to reminisce tonight because to do 37 years of reminiscing, you'd be here until after midnight. And I certainly concur with all that's been said about the school district, people in it, and the faculty, student bodies over the years. We think Mooers is one of the finest schools in New York State. And I think you should be very proud of this building perhaps, and not only this building but the ones that preceded it and our new centralization. I think the people in Mooers are very fortunate to have the educational opportunities that a small community can provide. Now my remarks are going to be very brief, and I like to always start my remarks with a joke. And my remarks are going to be very brief. That's a joke. I'm going to take about 5 minutes to give you the background of the progress of education in the Mooers and Mooers Forks area. Early schools. There was originally a single school district in the town of Mooers. The first school building was an old building used afterwards as a woodshed by the widow of Asa Corbin. The next schoolhouse in Mooers Village was built in 1824 or 25. It was occupied by troops during the Patriotic War and burned. The next was built in 1839. A school at Blackman's Corners was established in the 1830s in District Number 7. A stone schoolhouse in the same district was built in the 1850s. We can find no record as to when our early schools in the area were built. The first schoolhouse at Mooers Forks was built in 1851 and was replaced in 1928 by a two-room school with an auditorium and stage. This was used for school purposes until 1958. The first new brick high school at Mooers Village was erected in 1872 at an expense of about $4,000. This building burned and a new brick building housing grades 1 through 12 and a teacher training class was completed in 1905. It cost $17,000 and was considered one of the better ones in the state for a community of this size. This school also burned and was replaced by a brick building in 1922. That was the building that I came to when I came to Mooers in 1932. This building housed grades 1 to 12 until the new centralized building was completed in 1938, which housed the elementary grades until it was demolished and replaced with the present gymnasium. Now is the centralization. I might say at this time that the early centralizations in this area, Altona Central was the first, July 7, 1931. Mooers Central, August the 10th, 1936. Ellenburg Central, March the 23rd, 1938. And Champlain Central, May 9, 1941. And of course, since that time, we have reorganized with Champlain Central District, which included Rouse's Point and Champlain, and Ellenburg with Lime Mountain and Altona. The centralization, Mooers Central School District number 1 of towns of Mooers, Shazy, Champlain, and Altona was organized in 36. I just said that. Which brought about the centralization of former districts. There were 16 former districts in the original centralization, and then later on 2 more districts came in, making a total of 18 school districts, including the one here in Mooers, which is called the Union Free School District, or District number 3. Mooers Forks is called District number 16. This measure for the districts concerning centralization was carried by a ratio between 8 and 10. And one of the largest majority votes given to a question of this kind since the centralization law was passed. The next year, districts 2 and 3 of the town of Shazy voted to join centralization, thus adding the village of Scioto to the villages of Mooers Forks and Mooers and the surrounding territory. Some one-room schools in the Mooers Forks area, a part of the centralization, were known as follows: Emerson's, Blackman's, Corners, White Bush, Canada's Corners, Fernwood, and there were some others. The last 2 of these to close and have their students transported to Mooers Central were Fernwood in 1956 and the 2-room school of Mooers Forks in 1958. During the school year 1936-37, the district received a grant from the federal government to be used for construction of a new junior-senior high school building. The grant called for 45% of the cost, up to $300,000. And during the same year, the district held a special election to vote on the question, shall a new junior-senior high school building be constructed at an estimated cost of $260,000, 45% of which shall be paid outright by the PWA, that was the Public Works Administration under President Roosevelt, authority of the United States government. This question was carried by an overwhelming majority when less than 30 negative votes were cast over 300 in the affirmative. Construction of the new building was begun in the fall of 1937, was completed in January 39, and put into immediate use and was intended, as was intended, and the building has now become used as a community center. In June 1970, the Mooers Central School District, which had been formed in 1936, was composed of 18 former school districts, and the Champlain Central School District, which had been formed in 1941, was composed of 9 former districts. A referendum was held on June the 23rd in 1970 to approve the joining together of the 2 central districts to form an enlarged central school district. The new district was designated as the Central School District number 1 of the towns of Champlain, Mooers, Altona, Shazy, and Clinton County. administration office and the high school department for the newly enlarged district is located at Champlain. Graded elementary schools are maintained in Mooers, Champlain, and Rouse's Point. In 1973, in accordance with the provisions of the Chapter 429 of the laws of 1972 and the regulations of the Commission of Education implementing that law, Central School District Number 1 of the towns of Champlain, Mooers, Altoona, and Chazy, Clinton County was renamed and now simplified legal name the Northeastern Clinton Central School District at Champlain. I want to acknowledge the facts that were given in here to Dr. John W. Hare, who was the former district superintendent of schools at that time, Robert A. Charles, who was the district principal when the first centralization took place, and Lois Orr, former teacher at Moore Central, and now the town historian. So much for that. Now, if we could dim the lights, we'll have a few slides. As Gorbachev told President Reagan recently at the summit meeting, he said that there's an old Russian proverb, better to see something once than to hear it 100 times. So, as we've often said before, one picture is worth 1,000 words, and I hope that this may be the case. And some of you people will see yourselves in your younger days, older days. A lot has been left out because I just picked out the slides that I have that related to school business. And some will wonder why their picture wasn't in there, and others will wonder why another person wasn't in there. But this is all I had, so this is what you get. Well, I'll try to do this ad lib, and Mrs. Doris here, she can add to it. I'll try to do it without my number. This was the man for whom Mooers was named. This is Major General Benjamin Mooers. He not only was a general in the Army, a great general in the Army during the War of 1812, but he also was Clinton County Sheriff for 42 years. He also was a member of the legislature, being a senator for 1 year and an assemblyman for 4 years. So he was quite a man. And the area up through here, over thousands of acres, was given to various generals in the Army. That's the way they paid them off. They gave them grants of land. And Mooers is named after this gentleman right here. Next, please. This is just a little tab that was under there saying that he was, well, he's 80 years old. I can't read it from here. Anyone see what that says up there?
General Benjamin Mooers, 1758 to 1838.
Thank you very much. Okay, next. This is one of his descendants that called on me during the bicentennial. I was chairman of the bicentennial committee, and this fellow's name is also Mooers. He came down from the state of Maine, and we had quite a chat, and I said, would you like to have your wife in the picture? He said, that's not my wife. So, anyway, he sent me complete genealogy, which is in the Mooers Library, and so if you're ever interested, you can go back. And years ago, Mooers was spelled the way you think it should be spelled, M-O-O-R-E-S. So every place I go, even in Plattsburgh, I tell the clerks it's M-O-O-E-R-S instead of R-E-S, because normally if they don't live in this vicinity, they don't know how to spell Mooers. Next, please. This is one of the elementary schools at the time of centralization. This is the North Star School. It was converted over to home for Lynn and Mary Hogle. Now they have moved into a newly built home. I don't know just what's happened to this one, but anyway, that's the North Star School going toward the border. Next, please. This is the first brick high school built just about on this site. This was built in 1872 for the large sum of $4,000. Couldn't do that today, could we? And it was destroyed by fire in 1903. I'm sorry that I can't read this too well from here. Next, please. This is the new building that replaced the building that burned. And this was considered one of the finest elementary, well, not only elementary, finest schools for a small rural area in New York State. This was a beautiful building. And up where on the upper floor of those two windows on the left-hand side is where they had a teacher training class. After they graduated from high school, they could go on for a year, take teacher training, and go out and teach in the rural schools. And this school also burned 1922. Is that correct? 21. 21. Okay. Seemed they had a lot of fires back in those days. So then the students, and the next school, go to the next slide, please. Well, that's just a school room in probably that other school. The next slide, please. Well, that's the baseball team, and they have Mooers spelled M-O-O-R-E-S. But I'm sure that that was misspelled by whoever made out that writing on the card. Next, please. This is the class group that was housed over in what now is the Presbyterian vestry, not vestry, but the manse. And that's Professor Marvin. That was the principal at that time, and there's a lot of people in here that some of you people would recognize. Well, I see Leeward Orr there in the center, handsome man with the black hair and the white shirt and the coat and so forth, in the second row. And Hollis Stevenson is there, and various other people. And if there's anyone in the audience that recognize yourself, just say so. I know a lot more than that, but as I say, I can't see them too well from here. I think following Professor Marvin, there was a Professor K, and then following K was DK. And then following DK was, of course, Maynard Wilson was principal when I came here. Okay, next please. This is a grade school group that was in one of the houses here during the building of the 1922 school, I believe. And I believe Nellie Kyle was the teacher at that time. And I recognize several people in the front row down, sitting down there. There's a Gordon girl on the right, and the Dorothy Trowbridge on the extreme right, Bruce Stewart, and one of the Stevenson boys, and William Short, and so forth. So I remember seeing some of these people around when I first came here. Next, please. This is one of the training classes. And they came not only from Mooers, but surrounding area to go here to school to learn to become teachers. Maybe that's the reason we had so many good teachers. We kept the best for Mooers. Next, please. This was after the 1922 school was built, and this was Professor K, I believe. And maybe number of you people know Bob Walker. He's in the upper row there, the third from the left. Hollis Stevenson is next to him on the left. And the fellow next to him is one of the Curtis boys. They tell me that that's Wally Willett with the glasses over toward the center there. And then Douglas Chandler on the extreme right. She's Marion Carey to me. His mother is the lady in the first row, the second one in on from the left. I think that was a plant boy on the left-hand side. And Lena Beeman, I don't know what her married name is. Well, that's her married name, I don't know. Jubert, yes. And, well, I won't go on any further with that. If you recognize anybody, why, good. You can either express their names or just say, I saw you there. Next, please. This is a grade school class of Nellie Kyle's after they moved into the new building. And of course, see in the center, the third row up with the black hair, the dark sweater, and the bob hair? That's Viola White. I think she's here this evening. In fact, I know she is. And there's several others I can name, but I'm not going to, because to a lot of you it wouldn't mean anything anyway. Next, please. Now this is the old Grange Hall, which we used to put elementary grades in while we were building this building. They were scattered around different buildings, and this had we had rooms upstairs and downstairs there for a period of time during the construction of this building. Next, please. That was a grade school in Mooers Forks, the one that preceded the one that you'll see in the next slide. That evidently was a two-story building. I don't know how many attended there, but that was, and I don't know, what was the site of that? Does Frank Goodrich Jr. know? Not sure, just where that was located.
Next to where Harold O'Neill lived.
Oh.
On Pepper Hill Road.
On Pepper Hill Road, if you know where that is. Where, next to where Harold O'Neill lives. Okay, next. This is the building as it is today. Now it's owned by St. Anne's Parish. And that was a nice little school. It had an auditorium downstairs, 2 classrooms upstairs. After we started serving lunches here, we had a lunch program going up there, hot lunches, 2 people working in the cafeteria. And it's a very nice, well-run school. That was built in 1928, I believe. Next, please. This is Mr. Goodrich and his wife in their general store. He's included here because he was a trustee for many years in the Mooers Forks district. And of course, in addition to that, he had many other jobs in the community, such as his son has taken over now as with the town board. What's your title, Frank? Town clerk, right. Okay. Next, please. This is a more recent picture after centralization. I happened to get some of these pictures together during the bicentennial. And these are just pictures they're taken from slides taken from pictures that we could gather together to put in the history of Mooers. Next, please. Charles Chandler also was a member of the Board of Education here, well known, and very fine gentleman that is now deceased, as you know. Next, please. Now this fellow cut my hair when I first came here. That's Paul Meadow. Some of you know Orville Meadow, and you know Beverly Meadow Sears. Well, that's their grandfather, the barber. And the fellow in the chair that told me is the Davis. But this barber shop was located near where the restaurant is now. Next, please. Now, this is a 1922 school building. This is the only building that we had when I came to Mooers. We housed 12 grades in there. We had an auditorium. We had a basement at that time, and then later on we put in industrial arts. Later on we put in the cafeteria down there. And we had a science lab that I started teaching it up on the 3rd story. And then when my wife came in, she took it over and made a little library out of it. I don't know where the science lab went from there, but anyway, that's where it was. She came in, you know, I've been here 3 years, I think, when she came, and she said, "What do you teach here?" And I said, I started naming all the things. Of course, in those days, for 8 periods, you either had a class or you had a study hall. And so I started enumerating. "Oh," she said, "you're a jack of all trades." So that's where we met. Next, please. This is another view from the side. You can see the new building over on the left-hand side, and they bricked in some of the windows and so forth to conserve energy and cut off some of the classroom lighting that wasn't necessary. Okay, the next, please. Now that's the new school originally, before any additions were put on, I believe. Or does no? Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, that's his school. Next, please. Now, you can see on the left-hand side, there's a four classroom addition. In fact, there was 5 classrooms, 4 regular classrooms and a smaller room. And then down the stairs, we had sort of a coach's office in one of the other rooms, as was said earlier. And so I was telling Mr. de Grandpré and some other people, I guess it was Richard Gravideau, about how we come about getting that addition. I don't want to take your time now, but that was an $80,000 addition for which I had to appear before the Board of Regents in Albany to plead our case together, and $80,000. And I told the people down there that we were going to put up 4 walls. If we had to put them on orange crates to sit on, we were still going to have the room because we had the pupils coming in and had no room for them. So we got the approval, and when we started excavating for the foundation, there was so little left because all the foundation was on solid rock that we said we might as well take out the rest of the dirt and have some useful space down there. And so we asked them if we could have some windows put in, and what do you want to do that for? Well, we need air, and we want a place to store our rigs and things like that. Then eventually, we cleaned it out and put it in the industrial arts department down there, and it's been that way for a good many years. I haven't been down lately, I don't know what's down there. It's what? Oh, it's the art room now. Okay, thank you. Okay, next. Now, this picture shows, of course, his present school, and then it shows the one-story high connection between the junior-senior high and the old elementary school. We talked about putting on another addition because we needed it, and I guess I came up with the idea of why don't we connect the 2 buildings so that the students from this building won't have to go over to the other building in the wintertime outdoors and back and forth, trekking through the snow and the rain and going back and forth to the cafeteria. So that's what we did, is connect up the junior senior high with the elementary, which made a very fine addition and connection there. Of course, in that part also we had our health department, or the nurses' quarters. Okay, next please. Now this shows the new gymnasium as it is today, with this lower part showing the connection there to the new and the old school was torn down. And that was in about 1973, I believe, and this new addition was put up, new gymnasium. Next please. That shows the complete complex as it is today, and so I guess enough said about that. Now, as Donald was telling about the trips to New York City, of course the senior class always spent 4 years raising money to go to New York City. But this class had raised money, and then the centralization came about, the reorganization with Champlain and so forth. So I believe instead of the senior class, this was a junior class that wanted to go because they weren't going to go from the new building in Champlain, even though they were going to graduate down there. So we gave them permission, I believe, to go. You'll recognize many of the people in there. Sharon Pratt-Gutel is there with the red T-shirt on, I guess you'd call it there, and our daughter Pam is there, and Roberta Gallagher is there, and Dewey Gordon is there, and Dale Sargent is there, and Arlen Garrett is there, and, well, there's a lot more there. I won't go into names unless somebody wants to say I was there. Anybody in here that was in that group? That's Mrs. Ducharme was the chaperone there, I believe, and she had some other... Oh, did they? Well, I hadn't gone to New York. Everybody went to New York. That was Cape Cod. Thank you for correcting me. You're right, Betty. They went to Cape Cape Cod instead. Okay, thank you. Next, please. Now, this is the bicentennial. I believe the little girl, one of those, I think the little blog is the Nystrom girl, as they tell me anyway. And we had it set up here in 1776, so it was a special day here in Mooers with the fire department cooperating and bicentennial committee. We really had quite a session. And of course, along the walls, you'll see a lot of artwork and antiques and so forth. Next, please. This is one of the classes that had an exhibit. It was right over in that section over there. And there are several exhibits along that wall. If you recognize anybody there, it's so good.
Oh, that's my class.
That was your class. Well, you know all of them then. Good. Do you want to name them?
Michelle Dupree, the white dress, Danny Cat in the black vest, Linda Shaw, with their arms on the table, Shelley Vassar, the pink. I believe that's Wyatt, Sue Wyatt, Lori Quinn, the yellow turtleneck. Greg Boris, the parents are here tonight. Greg's in white shirt with black bow tie. Timmy Nevers, the front with the brown shirt.
Very good. You have a very good memory. Okay, next. This is another group. I think I see a pier girl there in the back, the white dress to it. Doreen. Anybody else want to name anyone in there?
Mary Burley, right in front of Doreen. Karen Chapman, who's now working as a volunteer in the school. The mountain girl in the back, Robert Johnson. I can't remember the name.
Okay, that's very good. Next. Another group. Anyone recognize anyone there? Which one, Don? Betsy Trombley.
Jenny Schnell, the blonde. Darla Seacon, a Mosley girl, Darlene Mosley. I can't see the girl very well.
Well, that's very good. I think that's excellent. Next, please. Okay, who wants to go after that one?
That's Ed Wilson's daughter with pink dress, Kim, right? Next to her is Tina Rabdu, Greg, Lila Fountain, Raver Boy's father is a minister. Timmy Never in the blue shirt with the gray suspenders, boy in the red vest from those sports.
This is just to show you that the teachers get much closer to the students than the principals do. There's so many going that I can remember people that I taught much better than I can all of these people who are much more recent.
Little girl in white coat, is Lisa Forkey.
Thank you. Next, please. There's a little forky girl, I think, in the pink. Oh, that's the same group? Basically the same. Next, please. That's just some more of the exhibit. Some more. Anybody know who that lady is in pink back there?
You're really well.
Right. Very well. I just wondered if any of you could, it's so dark and it's difficult to tell. Next, please. That's a group from Plattsburgh that came up to March in the bicentennial, so we won't go into names there. Next. There's the Sweet Adelines, or part of them. Quite a few local people in there. See Mrs. Norcross in there. I see Mrs. Dupree down on the right-hand side lower. How about Shirley Rabideau? Is she here? The sunglasses in the back. Is that Mrs. O'Hare on the extreme left here in the second row up? I'm not sure, but at least we're sure of the ones that we've pointed out there. Okay, next. That's just some more people from Plattsburgh. I've forgotten the names of them. Some organization. This is some patchwork quilt that I took down at the Clinton Historical Society. I thought they were so nice that they'd make a nice slide. And so these aren't necessarily from Mooers, but they were done during the centennial down at Plattsburgh. Next, please. This is another view of some of the quilt work that was done. This is a bicentennial group that was down at the American Legion in Plattsburgh. We went down and took their picture there. You know a lot of people in there. In the front row on the left is Ella Goodrich, and the lady next to her, I'm not sure. Ella, would you know? Ruth Albert. And then there's Viola White, Mrs. Chandler, and Helena Guyette Alger. The gentleman on the right, I can't recognize. Is that Harrison? Harrison White. Yeah. Okay. And then Roger Wilson up here, and Eva Jane, and in the back there, is, of course, is Geraldine, and Mrs. Lorraine Orr, Roger Weldon, Henry White, Frank Goodrich, Charles Chandler. Who's the gentleman beside Charles there? I can't tell from here. Maybe I couldn't tell from up there. Anyone want to venture? And Glenn Parrish, who was our head mechanic here for years, is over the extreme left. There, you can hardly see him back of Roger Wilson. Okay, next please. This is the Bicentennial Committee. There's Dick Higgins up on the left, Stanley, who's deceased, and Roger Wilson, deceased, Keith Hogle, Frank Goodrich Jr., Reginald Marcombe, Lorraine Orr, Lois Orr, Paul Vogan, and the last one I don't recognize. Mrs. Meadow. Somebody looked at the slide there the other day and they said, "Why should you look over there?" And they didn't know. That would be hard to do, wouldn't it? Okay, next please. This is one of our deceased teachers that taught this building for many years, who's spoken of, that Donna spoke of, as he replaced as the 7th and 8th grade math teacher, a very good one, study hall teacher. The rules are the same every period when she was in there. When we used to have, if a teacher had a vacant period, then they had a study hall. And every teacher had different standings, so kids would come in one time and they could do this, the next time they couldn't do that. And so I said, let's make it uniform. When they come in the study hall, they know what it's for. So she ruled that with an iron hand, and consequently we got some good homework done. Okay? Next. Jean Wood Stewart was a social studies here for years. She's also deceased. That's her dog Bear. He died before she did. Next, please. Miss Matthews, as we have spoken of several times tonight, on the left, deceased. Lida Brooks hoped to make it here tonight, but I don't believe she did. And I don't know the fellow on the right-hand side. Down up here. These pictures were taken during various Christmas parties that we had over here. So these are just some informal shots, and I think everybody was sober. This is Mr. Musso, as one of the judges, and he was spoken of course. I've been associated with years in school and years since we retired. We miss him very much. He was one of the judges, and Mrs. Rabidou and my wife Betty, 3 honorable judges. Okay. All right, now I believe this was Halloween party day when Mr. Wood was principal here, the year he was here. Am I correct in that, Adrian? And I don't know which one of them he is, but he was dressed up. But I think we'll see him a little later, a little better up. Do you want to show the next slide? Well, I don't know if I see him yet. That's just another group. Now, I think that is probably is that Bob Van Esquire? Is that you, Bob?
That sure is.
Oh, okay. Well, they had a very good time.
Hadn't seen each other for...
Well, there's another couple I don't recognize, but I think most of you people do. They're looking very fondly at each other, aren't they? Okay. There's Mr. Bob Musso, bawling his uncle out there for acting up or something. And Genevieve Harvey, which we haven't mentioned, that's sitting down there, and I think that's Marguerite Pavancha to their back, and farther back in that, it's kind of hazy. Okay, let's take the next one. Well, that's pretty dark also. You can see Miss Matthews standing up in the back, and well, a little difficult. My wife standing up for nourishment there. And Mrs. Norcross sitting down back to us. The lady on the left I should know, but I don't. Oh. Uh-huh. And I think that's Mary Hogle on the left, is it? And then Seth Glidden back there, and I don't know what girl he has cornered back there. Oh, Kathy Woodward. Okay. And is this Helen Summer over on the right? And Mrs. Budd was here for several years. Oh, Hilda Danforth in the red. Okay, thank you. I appreciate your helping me out on these because, as I say, my memory isn't that great. Okay, the next. Well, that's another view of, mostly a back view, I guess, rear view. Mrs. Pavancha and of course Mrs. Matthews. The lady standing up on the left there, under the star. Is that Mrs. Nystrom? Yeah, okay. Okay. Let's have the next one, please. There's Mrs. Ferns and Mrs. Bowes and Mrs. Brooks and Mrs. Budd and this gentleman, I've forgotten his name. Ron Rapid, sure, I remember now. And Kathy, is it? Okay. Next. Mrs. Bowes again, Genevieve Harvey, and Mrs. Budd, and Eleanor Tappan, I think back in the right there. I think Mary Hope back there a little ways. But it's a blur to me from there on. I'm sorry. Luann Willett may be in there somewhere. Oh yes, right in front. Good. Good. Okay. Next. There's Mr. Blevin again, and Mrs. Rabideau, and the art teacher, Mrs. Lorna Elred, and Marjorie Norcross, and Lucille Rabideau, Pearl Smith, and Mrs. Budd, and Mrs. Danford, Mrs. Vogt. Mrs. Vogt was at the table again. I'm just saying that as a joke, she knows. People could get offended if they didn't really know me. Okay, the next. And who do we have here? We have, why sure, Catherine, and Lila Brooks, and Mrs. Pavancha, Ruthie, is that Ruthie with the pink?
Yeah.
Miss Matthews, Mrs. Bowes, Who's the one in the side of the boat?
Girl with her hands on her chin.
The what?
Dawn's
Oh, I wouldn't have known her. Okay. Next. These are the two kindergarten teachers we had that taught in this lower wing over here. And of course you recognize both of those. Miss Matthews and Helen Sutter. She was Helen Wilson. So I think probably the next is a white rabbit and a snowstorm. I think that's probably it. Okay, you can turn on the lights now. Closing remark, I'd just like to commend Mr. Graves, the faculty here, and Mr. DeGrave, and everybody, all the teachers that were connected in this particular event. I think it's been wonderful. They've done an excellent job, and I don't know how they could have done better. And all the people who worked on the grounds, of course, Dick and all his helpers, and we're very proud of this building and this school, and I have been associated with it many, many years, you know. I saw it built. I wondered what we were going to do with all the room when it was being built. But it's just been one of the best. And I think you people should be very, very proud of the facilities and everything that you have for the present day students. And of course, we're very thankful for what we've had in the past. And we hope the future will be even better. Thank you very much.
Welcome to our weekly oral history program from the Village History Council of Rouse's Point. I'm pleased to have Mr. Carl Fountain with us